everybody, I'm Waneta Ellis at Cape Fear Family Law, and we're here today to talk to you guys a little bit about some of these things we hear in the news about deportation of immigrants and the children, specifically the children involved in these deportation raids and ICE raids. I have a little bit of a background in immigration law. I was an immigration attorney in my own practice before I joined Cape Fear Family Law, where I now focus solely on family law. But I think it's important to note that immigration and family in the context of children actually have a pretty significant overlap. And it's an overlap that I don't think we should overlook, and I think that a lot of people do overlook. So we wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today and try to give you some guidance, some questions to ask, and maybe guide you over to talking to the appropriate people. You know, when I was watching the news and I see these families and we watch the videos, these horrific videos of people in cages and children in cages, and the first thing you think is there any hope? Is there any hope for these kids, for these families? And the answer is yes, there is some hope. And the hope is that we get you to the right people to help you. But number one, what can we do for these kids? And that is not a simple answer, but there are some answers. Number one, if the child was born in America, and the child is an American citizen, and that child cannot be deported. That does not help the family, the parents, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles, the brothers, the sisters. But that child themselves cannot be deported. They are an American citizen. It is their birthright to be in our country. We've heard that before, the birther laws. It is their birthright. So there is a special status for a child who entered the country by themselves, remains in the country by themselves, or entered the country or remains in the country with one parent and the other parent has abandoned them. The statute is for what we call special immigrant juvenile status, and those are children under the age of 18 in most states. In some states it's 21. Whatever state law governs where that child lives will determine whether that person is a child, meaning a minor, or an adult. Some states like New York, a minor is 20, is still considered a minor under their law. North Carolina, that age is 18, and I'm only licensed to practice in North Carolina, so I will base this on North Carolina law. If you are under the age of 18 in North Carolina and you are being raised by somebody other than your parents or by only one of your parents, and you came into this country and you illegally, and so you are undocumented here in the United States, or even if you have DACA, as we all call it, a dreamer, you can file for special immigrant status. It's a two-step process, and that process does have a path to citizenship. Special immigrant juvenile status does have a pathway to citizenship. It's not a pathway that creates other paths, meaning it's not a pathway that will create an opening for a parent to get citizenship through that child. There are some very specific rules and laws that surround how and what availability, what options are available. But in most cases, SIJ is not an option for you to use to sort of connect another family member to that visa to obtain relief. Path to citizenship means you can become a United States citizen through a filing of a special immigrant juvenile status visa. The two-part process will first, for a special immigrant visa, will first start with a family law attorney. So step one, you come to Cape Fear Family Law or a family law attorney. That's what we do. That's what we specialize in. We would file an action with our state court. It's called a complaint, where we would represent the person, any person, to be clear. North Carolina allows any person with a connection to that child to file an action for custody. So we would file that action in the state court, alleging that this child, the child that is illegal, that is undocumented, has been abandoned, abused, or neglected by one or both of their parents. If the court adjudicates or rules that that child is in fact abandoned, abused, or neglected by one or both of their parents and awards custody to that person, again, whether it's one parent or this third party who has a connection to the child, then we would get an order from the court that has some specialized language in it that's required by the federal law. And we would take that order once we have it from our court. So I just want to go back for a few minutes. We touched briefly on who can file a complaint for custody in North Carolina. And again, remember, this is North Carolina specific, but our statute says any person that has a connection to that child. And it could be a person, an organization, a company, an agency. I don't know if I said agency, but an agency. So our statute outlines who can do it, and the words, literally any person, are contained in that statute. So if you have connection to a child, if you're helping to raise, if an immigrant child is residing with you, you have a connection to that child. And if that child has been abandoned, abused, or neglected, you have the ability to file for custody in North Carolina and help this child get the security and stability that they need in our country. We would give it to your immigration attorney. Your immigration attorney at that point can file that special immigrant juvenile visa based on this child being dependent on the state for protection. If immigration approves their petition, then step 3 is that the child has protection and is no longer removable. They cannot be deported. And that gives them the protection and the safety of the United States. Again, it doesn't help the family, it doesn't help the parents, I should say. It doesn't help brothers or sisters or mothers or fathers, but it helps that one child. And that's where we have to start, one child at a time. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. As always, subscribe below, like us, comments with any questions or any other topics you want us to talk about. We'd love to hear from you. I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye.